Personally, I definitely think that school should require students to practice in cycle tests such as resistance training and jogging because these activities help students stay healthy and focused. I remember when my school held a weekly session, I felt more energetic and could concentrate better in class afterward. It really improved my cycle and mental performance. On top of that, cycle training teaches discipline and teamwork. For example, when my classmate and I did group exercise together, we learned how to encourage and support each other. This created a positive environment and stronger friendship among us. For these reasons, I strongly agree that schools should make cycle tests mandatory since they help students become healthier, more disciplined, and more united. So, the reading passage describes a new university policy that limits how long friendship and family can stay in student dormitories. According to the policy, guests can only visit for up 3 consecutive nights. The university made this change to prevent disturbances and make sure that student academic progress is not negatively affected. The man in the conversation disagreed with this new policy. He argued that visits are not as inconvenient and behave respectfully. Roommates usually don't mind. For example, his roommate brother one visited with prior permission and the visit actually improved their relationship. He also mentioned that the policy would unfairly affect students living in single rooms because they would have to find and pay for outside accommodation for their visitors. This would waste both time and money that could be used for studying or others important activities. As you can see, the man is strongly opposite to the new dormitory rule, believing that prolonged and short visit can be beneficial rather than harmful. According to the reading, hilltopping is a mating behavior in which males instead travel to high elevation like hilltop or mountain peaks to find mates and compete for territory. The passage explained that males gather at these elevated areas because being at the top signal strength and genetic fitness, which make them more attractive to females. In the lecture, the professor elaborated on this behavior by providing example. First, the mention that male Agahana Mariho butterflies climb to mountain top often above 2,500 meters, not for food or rest, but to compete with other males and increase their chances of mating. The goes on say that male tarantula webs also fly to hilltop to compete for mates. However, researchers found that mating can occur all along the hill, not only at the very top. They show that hilltopping is mainly about increasing mating opportunities through territorial competition in elevated areas. So after listening, I now have a better understanding of what hilltopping is and how it helps male insects improve their chances of reproduction. The professor goes into detail about how business build social and economic connection with their customer in order to increase loyalty and sales. There's two types of connection encourage people to keep buying from the same company. First, he explained that a social connection is created through personal interaction. For example, when a woman was answered about buying a supplement, a staff member explained the product to her because of the helpful conversation. She felt more confident and decided to buy it. This shows that human interaction makes a customer trust the company and feel valued. Next, he described an economic connection which involves financial incentives like discount or coupon. He gave an example from his own experience, saying that he chose to go to Starbucks because he had a coupon that was about to expire. This demonstrates how financial benefits motivate. So after hearing this lecture, I now have a better understanding of how social and economic connection help business attract and retain loyal customers. Personally, I prefer to work a relaxed environment because it helps me focus better, more creative. For example, when I worked on a group project last semester, our team had a calm atmosphere and we could share ideas easily. As a result, we finished early with good quality. Also, a relaxed environment helped reduce stress and build better relationship with coworkers. My friends work in a street office, and she often feel nervous, which affect her performance. So overall, I prefer a relaxed environment because I can work effectively and feel more satisfied. The reading passage announces that the Recreational Service Department will receive special funding increase the number of exercise machines in the campus gym. Disagree with the university plan to expand the gym, believing that the current facilities are already enough and that the money could be used for better purpose. According to the reading, The law of diminishing returns is an economic principle that explains how adding more of a variable input such as labor to a fixed input like capital will eventually produce smaller increases in output. In other words, after a certain point, additional workers or resources will not increase production as effectively as before. This law helps business decide when to stop investing more resources. In the lecture, the professor illustrates this concept with an example of a factory that hires more and more workers to increase production. At first, production rises quite quickly because workers can share tasks efficiently. However, when too many workers are added, the factory becomes crowded and they begin to interfere with each other's works. As a result, each new worker contribute less to the overall output, which shows the law of diminishing returns in actions. The professor talked about two main programming styles in computer science: procedural programming and object-oriented programming. Procedural programming focuses on writing a series of steps of procedure that the computer must follow, while object-oriented programming focuses on organizing code around data or objects that have their own properties and actions. First, the professor explained procedural programming. He says that in this method, the program runs as a sequence of commands or functions. For example, an early payroll system used procedure to calculate salaries and taxes step by step. Each procedure had a specific job and they were called in a certain order to complete the process. Next, the professor talked about object-oriented programming. He says that approach is more flexible because it uses projects that combine both data and behavior. For instance, in a shopping website, each product can be an object with its own data, like price and stock, and function like calculating discount, and this makes the program easier to reuse and modify. So after listening to the lecture, I now have a clearer understanding step and logic, while object-oriented programming centers on that data and function with an object.